Hello, welcome back to my recovery. This is Chameleon again, your wonderful host. And today, let's see, actually 2 weeks ago, well, I think it was 2 weeks ago, a couple of videos ago, we talked about um, the spiritual side of the 12-step program and what each step meant and what they preach on each step, basically. Um, Last week, I think I brought you some news about homelessness and how that affects, um, or how addiction is supposedly affecting homelessness. And today, we're going to go back to the 12-step program again. I'm going to go over certain important sayings that if you've been to any meeting whatsoever, that I guarantee you've heard these things a billion times. And there's a reason for that, and that's because they work. And because really, when you start out in your sobriety, you're lost. You know what I mean? You feel awkward. You feel unsafe. You don't feel all together. You don't feel 100%. And you start taking it. You really let the world get to you in more ways. Even when you're even an addict, you let the world get to you more than what you should. And so these are ways to help keep you sober, and really anything. Some of these help you just in daily life. Period. So I'm gonna read from this piece of paper. So bear with me here. It says 12 Step Sayings. The program of Alcoholics Anonymous has developed some short sayings that help people in their day-to-day efforts at staying sober. These concepts are often useful tools in learning how to establish sobriety. It says one day at a time. This is a key concept in staying abstinent. Don't obsess about staying abstinent forever. Just focus on today. That is the number one statement you will hear from almost every single sobriety place, every rehab, every what do they call those places? Sober houses or halfway houses, or from NA, AA, all those. That you're going to hear one day at a time. Just take it one day at a time. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, I got all these bills coming up, and I got all this stuff coming up. It's like, no, man, just don't worry about that. Just worry about today. You know what I mean? Just worry about today. Let's just get through today. Let's just stay sober today, right? And that's the whole meaning of it. Is that just stay sober today. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about the next day. Don't make no plans on staying sober. Just today. Just today. The next one is turn it over. Sometimes people with addictions jeopardize their recovery by tackling problems that cannot be solved. Finding a way to let go of issues so that you can focus on staying abstinent is a very important skill. This is almost, if not in my mind, more important than the one day at a time, is learning how to figure out what you can control around you and what you can't. Because the stuff that you can't control, there's no sense in letting it bother you. There's no sense. I mean, it's going to. Don't get me wrong. Everything's going to bother you. Everything's going to get to you at one point in time or another. But what I'm saying is that if you have no control over it, then it's not your fault. You know what I mean? There's not something you can change. You're never going to change the past. You're never going to change, you don't even know what the future. Actually, I think when I read the study on it, I think something like 85% of the future that people think is going to happen never comes true. So, I mean, there's no reason to even be stressing about it, right? But people, you will. But I'm just saying, this should be your mindset. When you realize that you're focusing on something that is out of your control, you need to realize that there's absolutely nothing you can do about it but weather it and hope for the best, right? And when it talks about turning over, it's talking about um, sometimes, just um, I forgot what I was going to say. Sometimes they pretty much turning it over to your higher power in stuff that you need help with. You know what I mean? Something you need help with. What if it's a close friend that's the problem, or what if family members, or something that you're forced to go through that's really bearing down with you, right? And you know, instead of just wallowing in it by yourself, learn how to talk to your higher power, learn how to speak to your support network, learn how to just talk to your family, right, or anybody. Just try to get it out there, so that way you're not. It's not only on you. It's that you're getting some help. You're getting people talking about it. You're understanding that you're not the only one going through this, maybe, or maybe these people have already went through it, or maybe there's ways they can help you, or if nothing else, their words and you just telling them will be such a big thing to you that it's just a tremendous help to your mindset. So, anyways, turn it over. The next one is keep it simple. Learning to stay abstinent can get complicated and seem overwhelming if you let it. In fact, there are some simple concepts involved. Don't make this process difficult. Keep it simple. There's that one's pretty self-explanatory. I went over that. I don't remember what video that was. I talked about it in one of my early videos that people just complicate things. People love to complicate things. They love to throw so much crap on themselves, or they love to just make their lives harder for no reason. You know what I mean? For no reason at all. And learn how to keep it simple, and you'll have no problem with this. The next one is take what you need and leave the rest. Not everyone benefits from every part of 12-step meetings. It is not a perfect program. You'll never find a perfect program. However, if you focus on the parts you find useful rather than the ones that bother you, the program has something for you. That goes back to um, turning it over, right? It goes back to realizing that there's some things that you can't control. There's going to be parts of the 12-step program that's going to be rather difficult for you. It's going to be incredibly difficult for you. It's not an easy program by any means, and it's not meant to be. People think that it's going to be simple and easy, and it is simple, but it's definitely not easy. It's soul searching. You're going to be doing a lot of crying. You're going to be doing a lot of getting mad. You're going to be doing a lot of realizing how messed up you really are, and because they're going to take you through it. They're not going to take you around the issue. They're not going to take you over the issue, under the issue. You're going to go straight through the black hole of your heart, and you're going to come out the other side a brand new person and revived. You're going to come out sober, and that's really the only way of doing this for a long term. Okay, let's see. The next one is bring your body. The mind will follow. The most important aspect of 12-step programs is attending the meetings. It takes a while to feel completely comfortable. Try different meetings. Try to meet people and read the materials. Just go and keep going. Most time they don't care if you even say something or not. They just want you there. And you get in these routines to go to maybe one or several a week. And the point is you want to find a place where you feel comfortable. You want to find a place where you feel like you're part of you're part of that 12-step program, and because it'll make it easier for you to tell you to say what's going on in your life, and make it easier for you to keep going to meetings, and keep your sobriety. So if you go to one and you realize, like, man, I just don't like the people here, or I don't like the way they even do it. I don't like, all this stuff. Don't stop at just that one. Don't just go to one AA or NA meeting and think like, okay, this is the way it's going to be at every meeting, because it's not. It's not going to be that way. Like, the setup's the same. They might do the same thing. You'll come in. Maybe they'll have some coffee for you. They'll sit around a circle. They'll usually have people that they usually allow you to watch in the background. You'll usually have chairs in the background. That's not, because the people that sit in the circle are the people that's actually part of that place, and part of that place. And those are the ones that usually talk. You want to be inside that circle. So you want to be able to feel comfortable enough to where you can sit in that circle every time they have a meeting and be one of the people that talk. You see what I'm saying? And so that way you get all this stuff off your chest. I mean, it's just like the turn it over part. You know what I mean? It's that is, you can turn it over at your meetings. You know what I mean? It's such a tremendous help. So don't just stop at one. Just go to a bunch of different ones, and you can pick out the best one, one that you like the most, or one that you fit in. Okay. The next thing it says is HALT. This acronym is familiar to people in the 12-step programs. It is a shorthand way of reminding people in recovery that they are especially vulnerable to relapse when they are too hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. It says hungry. When people are using, they often ignore nutritional needs. No doubt. I weighed 155 when I was using. That was the same weight that I weighed when I was in high school. So you can think about that. I'm older. I'm old now. Like 40 something, 40, So for 30 years, I weighed the same weight. That's just should never happen. I should never be 155 at age 40, right? And I starved myself for 2 or 3 days at a time. I wouldn't eat. I just wouldn't eat. I just never felt hungry, And so I just never thought about it, and I wouldn't eat. And I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine. I was fine being that skinny, and I hate being as fat as I feel right now. But I know that I was too skinny. I know that I was out of shape because I'm paying for it now. I mean, now it's hard for me to do anything I used to do because I'm so out of shape, and I'm so physically drained from all those years of doing drugs that, I mean, I can't. There's no way I can keep up with anybody anymore. And it's going to take me a while to even get back to strength to even come up close to do maybe half of what I was doing before. So, anyways, people in recovery need to relearn the importance of eating regularly. Being hungry can cause changes in body chemistry that make people less able to control themselves or avoid cravings. Often the person feels anxious and upset, but doesn't associate the feelings with hunger. Eating regularly increases emotional stability. I mean, how many people out there get angry or get irate whenever they get hungry? You know what I mean? You can't, there's nothing people can say to you. Every time somebody says something to you, you're just like, you snap back at them, because you're starving. I know a lot of people like that. I'm not one myself, but I know a lot of people, over my years. I know a lot of people that was like that. When they get hungry, it's like those Snicker commercials, You remember the Snicker commercials that where those people would freak out and then they eat a Snicker and they'd be fine. Yeah, those commercials. Okay, next one is angry. This emotional state is probably the most common cause of relapse to drug use. Learning to cope with anger is in a healthy way. It's difficult for many people. It is not healthy to act in anger without thinking about the consequences, nor is it healthy to hold anger in and try to pretend it doesn't exist. Talking about anger producing situations and how to handle them is an important part of the recovery. Um, the fuck it statements, right? Like, man, fuck this shit, or fuck this place, or you know what I mean? I mean that's just it. Just it right there. The fuck it. Anytime you say fuck it and say something after that, it's going to be bad. It's never good, right? It's never good. Even if it has nothing to do with your recovery, it's still never good, and it's because you're just so you're not thinking clearly, right? You're not thinking clearly. And sometimes it's really hard to stop yourself and think forward, but you got to. I mean, we're human beings. We're all adult. Some of you, most of you adults probably. Um, I mean, we're all old enough to know right from wrong, and we're all old enough to know that we should be thinking before we act, right? I mean, that's just plain and simple. Lonely. Recovery is often a lonely process. People lose relationships because of their substance use. As part of staying abstinent, people in recovery may have to give up friends who still use. The feelings of loneliness are real and painful. They make people more vulnerable to relapse. That was my number one problem all those years with loneliness was, I know this one very well. It definitely is real. It definitely is extremely painful. And I'm still lonely. I mean, I'm still lonely. So, but the thing is that I'm okay with being lonely now. Before, before I was scared of it. I thought it was weak. I thought it was beneath me. I thought I was either that or I was in denial. Like, I got plenty of friends. And none of those people were friends. They were all using me just like I was using them. I mean, that's just all addicts. That's what they do, right? They use each other just to get what they want. And I'm not saying that you wasn't friends beforehand, but what I am saying is that when there's drugs involved, you're not anymore. I mean, as much as you want to say you are, you're not. You're not anymore because the drugs control you. So there's no way you can be friends with heroin. There's no way you can be friends with fentanyl. There's no way you can be friends with cocaine. You see what I'm saying? Um, they're always going to want what they want, and you're going to take a back seat to that. I had a rule when I was doing drugs that I would never let drugs be. I would never let drugs come between me and my friends. Is what I would always say. And so basically, if somebody screwed me over for drugs, I would tell them flat out how I felt, and I'd never go through with him again. I'd never do drugs with him again, never go through with him again. I would still be friends with them. You see what I'm saying? I would still, like, if they called me for help, they needed my help, they needed to talk to me, sure, I'm there for them, right? But I would never do that drug side. I'd never do the business side, the drug side with them ever again. You see what I'm saying? And but I'm not saying that's the way to do it at all, because I still lost every one of my friends. Really, the best way to do it is to tell them to get sober, and you get sober. You know what I mean? That's that's the only way of doing it. Okay, last one is tired. Sleep disorders are often a part of recovery, early recovery. People in recovery frequently have to give up chemical aids to sleep that they used in the past. Being tired is often a trigger for relapse. Feeling exhausted and low on energy leaves people vulnerable and unable to function in a healthy way. I have very bad anxiety, and it's tremendously bad to where I shake all day. And on some days, it's way worse than others. And you can ask anyone in my family how bad it gets when I am feeling really bad. I mean, I'm screaming. I'm screaming because it's aggravating me so bad. And it will keep me up 2 to 3 days at a time. And on that third day, I'm at pulling my hair so bad that I'm going to go get drugs. You see what I'm saying? In order to fix it, I'm going to go get drugs. That's just how bad it is for me, and it's because I'm more tired I got, the worse I'm going to feel, the worse in everything I feel. And thankfully, when I was getting clean, that by the time I decided to come off the drugs, that the detox wasn't as bad, because remember, I stepped myself down. It was nowhere near as bad as what it could have been, and so I didn't have none of those problems while I was detoxing. So now I'm more equipped than I'm equipped to handle it. But thankfully, while I was detoxing, that didn't happen. But it could very well happen to you. So be wary of that and realize that eventually you're going to get sleep. Probably, I mean, you're going to fall asleep. Your body's going to crash, and you're going to eventually sleep. And that it's just for today, right? It goes back to this one day at a time thing, right? And make sure you tell everybody around you what you're going through. That way they can watch you. So that way, if you've been up for way too long, they can seek medical help, right? And I mean, don't be ashamed in any of this stuff, man. You got a disease, you got an illness. That's what people have, this thing that they think they have to fight everything alone. My best friend was like that, and God rest his soul, he's not with us anymore. Um, but that's how he was, and he was so bullheaded that he believed because he was a man that he had to do everything by himself, or it made him look bad. And I hated that about him, man. It aggravated me so bad. What was the point of me being friends with him if he couldn't lean on me, And it's just, but thankfully I got to the point where I could realize, because I was his friend, I knew I could see it in his eyes. I could see when he was in trouble. So I just did it. I just helped him. I stopped asking him, because if I asked him, he told me no. So I just helped him from then on out. Okay, in the comments section, for all those people that hit the like button and subscribed and all that stuff. See what I did there? For all those people who do this, I got some questions for you. Let's see if you can answer me down there for me. How often do you find yourself in one or more of these emotional states? Those, for HALT, right? Hungry or angry or lonely or tired. And what could you do differently to avoid being so vulnerable? And that's for everything. Anyways, that's all for today, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.